So in this lecture, we are going to start with historical school of jurisprudence. Okay, as we have discussed that there was a natural law school, what was the ideology there, what was the thinking, how the laws were created there. Then came the analytical school. They have their own ideology that power of the command of the sovereign will be the supreme power. Then it got transformed because it was criticized very badly. Everyone was criticizing, and those criticisms, they doesn't mean that the theory is completely bad. It always talks about that yes, there are certain problems in it and that needs to be removed. And another person who is criticizing it, he went on researching all these things and then he is able to create a new theory. So in the same manner, historical jurisprudence came into existence. So what is the historical school? What were their basic ideology? Till now, what was happening? Customs and traditions, they were getting ignored. The religious principle, economic needs, that means the ethics of the society and all these things, they were being ignored so to maintain the purity of law. But the historical school of jurisprudence, its argument was completely different. They said that law is the exaggerative form of the social customs, economic need, conventions, religious principles, and the relation of people with the society. How people are related to the society. What are the customs they are following in the society? What are their economic needs? What are the conventions which they follow? What are the religious principles which they are following? All these things is law. If they are exaggerated in a complete form, then we can say that law is created, or not even created. They use the word law is found. It is not made. They said that you cannot create a law. You can find out the law. And where you can find that, what is law as per them? It is the exaggerated form of the relation of the people with the society. Okay. So analytical school, law is the command of sovereign. Here it is, in the analytical one, it was law is a set of man-made rules or the set of rules. And here what we are talking about, law is found, not made. Okay. They also did not support the theory which was propounded by natural law thinkers. Okay, because in the natural law theory, how the origin of law was given, origin of the law, it was said that it is from the superior authority. That means that divine relevance was created in the natural law, but they believe that it cannot be created. It is something which followed the concept of man-made laws. But here man-made laws, they do not related with the analytical school. They here says that how man-made, whatever the needs of the man are creating in the society, whatever the requirements of the man is there, then we can say that yes, it is a concept of man-made law, by which, by the economic needs, convention, religion, social custom, by which we find the law from the humans itself. That was the basic ideology of the historical school. Okay. It Historical school, it believed that law is formulated for the people and by the people. From here you can trace out that yes, democratical setup is now starting to emerge. What is democracy? To the people, for the people, by the people. Here the thing, what it believes that, it believes that law is formulated for the people. That means for the benefit of the people. Who it will be governing? It will be governing the people. And who will be forming the law? The people will be forming the law. Okay. That means law cannot be uniform. Law cannot be something which can be rigid. It have to be something, we can say whatever the habits of the people are there, whatever the customs people follow, so law should also change according to the changing needs of the people. Can we say that at every part of time, at every moment of time, the need of the people are same, the economic condition of the society is same, the custom and the traditions are same? No, they change with the time and even place to place. So as the needs of the people are changing, law should also be changed. Okay. So it means that law is formulated for the people and by the people. And if people are formulating the law, how they will formulate the law? That means law can be formulated by the people when it is changing according to the changing needs of the people. And if law is not formulated as per that, so can we say that this law is for the people? There is a law which is 100 years old and which have no relevance in the present time. It is still going on rigidly. So can we say that this law is for the people? or it is by the people. It was by the people at that time, but not now. That is why we have the amendments in the every act, every, even our constitution, it have been facing amendment. Why? Because it have to be made relevant as per the changing needs of the people. And what are the changing needs? Where it can originate? It is from the habits of the people, the customs of the habits of the people completely change at every at every moment of time. As the time is passing, the habits change, and the customs, they also reform, they also evolve. Earlier we used to follow different custom. As per the generations have passed, the custom have changed. So if the custom have changed, we also need to change the law as per it. Okay, so just like the habits and the custom of people change as per the need of the people, as per the requirement of the people with the period of time, in the same manner, law should also be changed according to the need of the people. Okay, so we can say that this historical law, it arose out as a reaction against the natural law theories. The natural law is talking about that law is not by the people, it is from a divine entity. It is by nature and it is by God. So law is of divine nature. It was against this thing. It was of a, you can say, it was of the opinion that law is something which is the man-made thing, and it came out of the society itself. Okay, and it also opposed the ideology of analytical school also. Why so? Because because the natural law theory, what they talked about the fact it is of divine origin, but they rejected this thing. No, it is a man-made thing. But if it is a man-made thing, so it is, analytical school says the same. But analytical school emphasis on the command of sovereign, that whatever the sovereign is saying, that is law. That may be sometimes rigid, that may be sometimes uh, illogical, irrelevant. So they used to say that it is for the people and by the people. And this by the people thing, it opposes the ideology of analytical school, because in analytical school, it was not by the people, it was by the sovereign. But here what we have by the people. So it was a reaction against the natural law theory, and it was also opposing the ideology of analytical school of jurisprudence. Okay, there are two prominent thinkers that we need to understand when we try to understand the historical school: Frederick Carl von Savigny, or popularly known as von Savigny, and Sir Henry Maine. Okay, so first we will start with von Savigny, 1779 to 1861. Savigny, he is known as the father of the historical school. He was the one who have propounded the theory, who initiated thinking in this, with this perspective, with the perspective of to the people, with the perspective of for the people and by the people. So we can say that Savigny is the father of the historical school. Okay, and as per the, whenever we study any school, whenever we go to any of the definition, every person, every jurist in every school with his own ideology, he is trying to frame out the definition of law, that what law is. Analytical was saying law is the command of sovereign. Natural law was saying law is the force of nature which we have to follow. So as per the historical school, as per the Savigny, as per him, that law is a product of internal silently operating force. He said that in a society there are various forces which are working, which are internal to the society. Law cannot be created from some external sources like the God or the sovereign power. It is a internal factor. It is based on the internal forces which are silently operating. You cannot see them, you cannot feel them, but they are silently working. They are slowly and gradually changing with the time. And this thing that we are talking law, it is deeply rooted in the past of a nation. How the nation have evolved, what changes it have faced, what is the evolution of the nation is there, what was the past of it, and from the past how it have come to the present. In that journey, the law is deeply rooted. And if we want to understand what law is, or we want to get the true source of law, it is the popular faith and custom. Faith and custom is not a new thing in the society. It is always which is relevant to the past, that this is our custom, it have been done by our ancestors. They used to do like this, but now the thing have changed. The nature is changing, these things are changing, so we have started doing this custom like this. How it have evolved, why it have evolved, and what is the custom and faith of the people. So he said that somehow something in between we can find the law. You cannot create it, you can find it in the past of the nation, and the sources can be the popular faith of the society, the custom of the society. The custom are never created with the external force, they are always created as per the need of the people, how they used to do the particular activities, and that past, that becomes the, you can say, the law. So he said that what law is a product of internal silently operating force. Like a custom is not, custom may be the same, that there is a custom of marriage, but can we say the custom of marriage is as same as it was 100 years back? No, it have evolved. That means past is, our past is that yes, we have to follow all these things, and the rule have been like that, the law is being like that. But as our customs are changing because of the changing habits of the people, the law is also changing. So from where the law is coming? Law is coming from those factors, those forces which are operating within the society, which are changing the habit and the custom of the people. These are the forces. Now people, what is the major force of the society? The people, the consciousness of the people. So what people commonly want, that is the law. By the people, if people are making a law, if there are say 50 people sitting in a classroom and they want something, so how we will be able to create something which will be good for everyone, or which will be good for the majority? We have to understand what they want. If we want to, like say for example, we want to conduct examination, and we are asking that what sort of examination we should conduct. We should conduct the subjective one or objective one. Out of 50, 40 are saying go with the subjective, 10 are saying go with the subjective. So what is the common consciousness of people here? That they are demanding the subjective one. So what will be the rule that will be created? That yes, the exam will be of subjective nature. In the same way, Savigny's definition work, that law is the product of internal silently operating forces, and it is the common consciousness of people. Common consciousness of people is the true source of law. If we want to create a law which is for the people and which is by the people, so we have to understand, we cannot create a law which is for the people and by the people. We can find out that law, and where we can find the source will be the common consciousness of people. He believed that law cannot be borrowed from outside. Law is not something which can be borrowed from outside. No, you have to find it within the society. You have to look for the sources, you have to look for the, like, popular faith, the custom of the society, you have to look for the common consciousness of the people, and after going through all these things, then you will be able to create what law is for the people. Okay, so you cannot borrow it from outside, like the language, the constitution, the manners of the people. Law was determined above all by the peculiar character of a nation, that means by the national spirit. He gave the Vogt's theory. The national, Vogt's means the national spirit. So he said that just like the language, just like the constitution, just like the manners of the people, law is determined above all of these peculiar characters of the nature. So a law of a nation, it can be determined by the national spirit only. If we are looking for the past of our nation, if we are looking for the common consciousness of the people of the nation, then only we can create a law. We cannot bring out a law from outside. Like the example which we have already discussed once in the previous lectures, that I want to create a cyber law in India. So can I bring about a law directly from Australia and can implement it? That yes, this law is very well working there, or the Japanese law is the #1 law for anti-hacking. So can we as it is apply? Why so? Because it will not go with the common consciousness and the needs and the habits of the people. First, we have to understand what are the basics of the law, what are the principles. We can go with those principles. But when it will be coming to create a law for India, we have to understand about the history of the Indian context. I'm just talking this thing over the historical aspect. We have to look for the historical aspect, that do we need actually or not? There have been not been a single hacking case ever in India. So do we need hacking laws or not? No, we don't need. Leave it. Yes, hacking cases are going on and our IPC CRPC is not able to cover them up. So let's understand what is the nature of it, what the people want, how it should be worked upon. So with that national spirit, the law is created. So he believed that law cannot be borrowed from outside. It is from within, from the common consciousness of people. So what do we mean by Voxist? Voxist means the national character. Okay. And why, how this Voxist is relevant to the formation of law, or in the Savigny's definition, he means that Voxist means, according to Savigny's national character, that law will have the national character if it is the product of the general consciousness of the people. If some law is coming from Britain, like India was a colony of Britishers once, so why Indians were not happy with the law? They were running the administration, very well. They have united India. It was the first time that India was united under a single administration. So but why we were not happy with that? Because it was not the product of the common consciousness of people. It have been something which have been brought from outside. It was against the Voxist nature. It was against the national character. They were trying to implement the Western culture. People were opposing it, that you are just creating the image of West in India. How you can do that? We cannot agree with that. We want the laws which are preserving our heritage. So as per the Savigny's Voxist theory, law is what? It is a product of the general consciousness of people, or the general will of the people. And this concept of Voxist, it is not only giving the definition, it is also serving as a warning against those legislations which have been created in a haste, which have been created in a hurry. Okay. And it introduced, so by this Voxist we can understand that it is not only giving the definition, it is also serving as a warning for those legislations which have been created in a haste, which have been created in a hurry, or which have been created without looking into the consciousness of people. And this Voxist, it introduced the revolutionary ideas in the people, that if something is wrong in the legal system, if the legislation which have been created, it is not going as per your will, if it is going against your will, so you can go for the revolution as well. Okay, that means you preserve your national character, and you preserve your national identity. And if any legislation is created which is going against the national identity, that means which is going against the will of the people, so this Voxist is the warning for the same, that if you do something, that can be repealed. It is a warning that if anything goes against the national character, that will be changed, that will be ignored, that will be declined by the people. Okay, so anything that can be created as a legislation, it can only be created, it can not be created unless they have the support of the general will of the people. Like if you talk about the present India, the sociological setup, so historical, it later on evolved into the sociological one. So can you think that it is possible that any law can be created where people don't want that in majority? Is it possible? If any law is created which does not support the general will of the people, what will happen? Something revolutionary type will be there. It may be on a small level, then it may not that well, but if it's something which is against the national character, if the government says that on a building there will be no national flag from now on, so is it going with the nation culture, or against? It is going against. So here Voxist will warn that it is not supporting the general will of people. It is a legislation which is made in a haste. You must look for it, you must amend it, you must change it, or if you can't amend it, just abolish it. So understood this Voxist culture, Voxist character? It is the basic idea, or you can say it is the base of this definition of von Savigny's historical school, that this national character is the basis of the formation of law, or finding the law as a source of law. Because what is the national character? Common consciousness and the will of people. So what is the theory of Savigny? He said that in all people there are certain tradition and custom which grow up with their continuous exercise, and slowly and gradually they evolve into legal rules. If we talk about what are the sources of law, and when we discuss the sources of law, one of the major source is the customs. And what are the customs? Customs are something which have been continuously exercised by the people for a time immemorable, for a continuous period of that immemorable time. So there are many traditions, there are many customs which have grown up because of their continuous exercise, and they have evolved into legal rules. So if we want to create rule in a society, if you want to create law in the society, how we can do that in a, you can say, in a best manner which supports the consciousness of the people? We can do that by doing a careful study of these traditions and custom. If there is a situation coming that yes, we want to create a farming law, so how do we create a farming law in India? Can we go to Australia and look that yes, your farming is very good, give us our laws, we will implement? We cannot. We have to study that what is the tradition, what is the pattern of agriculture in India, what are the customs which they are following, how much crops they are yielding, what is the quality of land, and how much productivity is there, per acre productivity is there. And then we can create a law which will be beneficial for everyone. So we can say that if we are carefully studying the traditions and the custom, then only the true content of the law can be found. Or else what will happen? Or else the situation will be like that law will be created, but people will not be happy with it because it will be going against their tradition, it will be going against their custom, it will be going against their consciousness. If you four are there, I want to teach something and you are saying, sir, please teach us this topic, and I'm saying, no, I don't want to teach, study this one first. So what will be the relativity in between? If I go with the same topic which you are demanding, your, we can say the productivity out of that lecture will be the maximum one. In the same manner, if we want to create a law, we first have to look what people want. That is why we have the democratical setup. The MPs are there, which are represented by the people, which are elected by the people. So the MPs are representing their will. That is why if we want to create any law, we have to carefully understand the traditions and the custom, so that we can found the true content of law. Okay, so as per this complete theory, what we can say, that in a proper sense, law is something which is identical to the opinion of the people in matter of right and justice. If people are agreeing with that, if it is identical with the opinion of the people, then it is law. Or else it is a legislation which is against the people, that cannot be considered as a law. And the Voxgist will warn it, and Voxgist will also suggest the revolutionary methods against it. And in the present society, anywhere you go, anywhere, whichever country we can talk about, if anything, any legislation is there which is not identical to the opinion of the people at large, everyone cannot be happy. We cannot make everyone happy by creating a legislation, but the happiness of the majority is mandatory. That means the content which we are looking for, the law which we are creating, it can be considered as a law only when it is identical to the opinion of the people, it is providing right and justice to the people, and it is identical to the people's opinion. So that's why we can say law is found, it is not made. What we are doing, we are doing the careful study, we are studying the traditions, we are studying the customs, and out of those only we are finding out a lot that yes, people like to do this thing, so let's make it a law and people will be following it. So what we have done, have we created something new? No, we have just we have just found it from the society and we have implemented it. Okay, like a language, law is just like a language. He said that like a language grows, if we talk about Hindi, which was being spoken 40 to 50 years back, it is much more different which is spoken now. Many things have included in it. We use many English words, we use many other language words, and we can say that yes, we are comfortable with this Hindi only. Why so? Because it have evolved and now it have been accepted by many of the people. So now that is the Hindi language. See, in the same manner, the law, it also develops eventually. The time changes, the time keeps on changing, the habits and the traditions of the people keeps on changing, and as per those changing habits, as per those changing traditions, the law also keeps on developing. Okay, so the organic evolution of law with the life and character of the people develops with the ages. As the people are changing, as the time is changing, the law also keeps on changing, it keeps on evolving. We have the life and character of the people, it was completely different in 1970s. In 2000 it was completely different. Now we have the height, the technology is at its peak, we have many new things. So our character, our life, our standard of living, it is changing. So uh, can we be governed with the same laws which were applicable in 1970s as it is without any change? No. At that time there were telegraph laws, how to send a telegraph or how to work over telegraph. And now what do we have? We have the cyber laws to check our emails as well. And if we are saying no, we have the communication laws, we will go with them only, we do not need to develop, what will be there? The people of the society, they will be facing lot of problems in that situation. The hacking and all the situation, all the problems, cyber issues, they will keep on going, and the law will not be able to deal with that. So as a language develops with the life and character of the people, in the same manner the law develops with the life and character of the people, and ages to ages it keeps on developing. How it is developed? We look for the we study the traditions, we study the custom of the people, and then we find out that yes, some new thing is required or some changes are required in the same thing. Like the LGBT example, if you can take, it have been legalized now, earlier it was not, because at that time the society was not accepting it, it was not widely accepted by the society, it was not something which was supported by the society, but now it is supported by the society. So now it have been converted into a legal law. Earlier it was not found in the society, that thing was not finding any support in the tradition or the custom of the society, so it was not a law. Now we can find it at a large scale, so it have been converted into a law. So this thing can be promoted supported by this factor, that law is found, it is not made. Okay. He also said that you cannot create a law which will have a universal validity. Like if we talk about Kelsen, he said that law should be uniform regardless of the time and the place. But by this thing, by the Vogt's theory under historical school, it was said that it cannot be of universal validity, and you can also not construct it on certain rational or the eternal principles. You have to look for the people only. Okay, you cannot create a law which will be which will be applicable everywhere. Law have to change as the places are changing. In India, the law in India also, even there are certain provisions which give relief to many of the people. Like there is a law that us up to a certain height only people, they can be the part of the army. It is a law, but because of the changing places, the changing demography, the geographical locations of the country, there have been certain relaxations also given, that yes, up to the people, those who live in this place, they will get a relaxation of this much height, that they can also get this their post in this much height only, because it is a requirement of the people, because at particular place the people cannot grow more than that. So in the same manner, we cannot create, if we cannot create a law which can be universally applicable which all over the country, how we can create a law which is universally applicable all over the you can say all over the globe? Okay. So he said that law, it should not be found in the deliberate legislations. You must not create deliberative legislations out of which you are finding the law, that yes, this is the law and we will go, our legislation says that. No, apart from going to the deliberate legislation, we must look for the general consciousness of the people. That is the true force of law, that is the real law. Okay. And who lawyers are, as per Savigny? Lawyers are the mouthpiece of popular consciousness, and their work is to shape the law accordingly. He said that lawyers are the people who speaks on behalf of people, and they must shape the law according to it. Here lawyers are including all the law fraternity. Okay. And he said legislation, though it is the last stage of lawmaking, still the lawyers or the jurists, they play a more significant role than the legislator. How the lawyers and the jurists, they can play a more significant role than the legislation? Legislation have created a law, where it will be applied? It will be definitely applied in the courts, by the courts. So if court is seeing that we have been using this law for 10 years, but now recent case, it is demanding something more, the law cannot be exactly applicable, we cannot deny the case, because it will be against the equity, good conscience and justice, and we cannot as it is apply. because it will be injustice against a person. So every time court, what courts does, it does the interpretation of the already written statute. Understanding this thing, when the first case of hacking might have been there in India, when the first case of cybercrime may have been there in India, so there was no IT law at that time. So how court will have responded to that? Did the court said that no, no, we will go to the legislature, we will create a law, then we will come to your help? No, it was not like that. The court used the principle of equity, conscience, good conscience and justice, and they looked for whatever they have and they provided justice. And whatever have been said by them in that case, that must have been the precedent for the upcoming cases. So these jurists, they shape the law as per the requirement of the society, because they know what is better happening in the in a particular society. And if some cases are coming repeatedly, so then the legislation will be there, it will be creating the more significant laws for them. Just like the cyber law we are taking, there were few cases in a year, so court was happy that court was sufficiently tackling up all of them by the IPC and CRPC. But when the number of cases increased, so there was a requirement to have a separate law. Then the legislation came into play, and then they talked about that yes, we can now create a law. So legislation is the last stage of lawmaking, and the lawyers and the jurists, they have the more significant role, because they are directly implementing the law. And how a law should be implemented, it is not like plainly reading the lines, it is reading between the lines and looking into the facts and the circumstances of the case and making the best out of it, looking for the consciousness of the people. So he said that lawyers here are the mouthpiece of the popular consciousness, and they should work to shape the law accordingly. And legislation, it works, but before legislation there comes the major role, it comes of the jurists and the lawyers. Clear? What were the criticisms for the Savigny theory? This theory was good, but there were certain issues which were, there were certain problems which were the part of it. So Charles Allen, he criticized Savigny's view that laws should be found or it should be based on customs. It was a view that laws should be found or it should be based on the custom. He criticized this view. Allen has a view that the customs are not the outcome of common consciousness. Customs many a times customs are the outcome of the, or you can say outcome of the interest of the powerful people or the strong ruling class. If there is a king, in a territory, and he said that from now on every year my birthday will be celebrated as a national holiday or and a national day, everyone have to do this particular thing. It have been going on for say 50 years, his upcoming generations, they are also following it. So can we say that this custom is actually coming out of the common consciousness of people? So at that moment, the custom fails to describe the common consciousness of people. So Charles Allen, he criticized Savigny over this view itself. Okay, he said that custom is not every time the outcome of the common consciousness of people. Many a times they are the outcome of the interest of a powerful group or a powerful ruling class or a stronger ruling class. Okay, like slavery. Slavery was also a custom. So was slavery something which can be converted into a law? Can we say that slavery was the common consciousness of people? Every person want the slavery system? No. But yes, slavery was going on because there were certain stronger class, there were certain stronger groups in the society. They were running it as a custom. So over this thing that you are saying that laws can be found or it can be based on the customs, that was criticized. How? Because customs are not always the outcome of common consciousness. Okay, any doubts? Professor Stone, he criticized the Savigny, and his opinion was that his theory is ignoring the efficiency of legislation and the planned laws and social change. He said that yes, whatever you are saying, it is good, we must look for the common consciousness, but you have overemphasized the consciousness of people. Is it a fact or is it a approved thing that always the consciousness of people will be good, or always the consciousness of the people will be for the better thing only? It is not always like that. So you are Professor Stone said that you are ignoring the efficiency of the planned laws. We know that yes, people are doing this particular thing, so we must plan a law, we must create a law which will be shaping the society, which will be bringing about a social change. Like a custom of, you can say in China, it was like population was growing. Common consciousness of people was that they did not want to uh, control the population. So what China did, they made a planned law. They made a planned law that now we have to control this thing. Either it is going with the consciousness of the people or against it. We have to stop it, because later on in the longer run it will be creating problem to this society only. If we talk about India, the abolition of sati pratha was something which was on the based on the common consciousness of people. People were considering it as a their religious right. Widows remarriage, widow cannot remarry, it was the common consciousness of people. So could it have been abolished if we were overemphasizing the common consciousness of people only, if there was no interference interference of the powerful and the effective legislation? So should the sati will be abolished? It can never be, because common consciousness of people will always say no, it is our religious right, we will follow it. Who are you to say in between? You should make a law which is over our common consciousness. So looking for the consciousness of people is good, but overemphasizing over it became a criticism, which was criticized by Professor Stone. Because there are many examples like the China's population control bill, our India's abolition of sati, widow remarriage. They brought the changes because the powerful and effective legislation were there at that particular moment. People have considered that this is not following their wishes, it is not following their consciousness. But if we look in present, what is the role of it? There have been brought about many changes. The position of women, it have improved drastically from the 18th century till 21st century because of all these effective legislations only. Got this thing? So we can say that yes, we can emphasize on the consciousness of people, but the over emphasis that was given in the historical school, that is not good. Okay, so this is the von Savigny's idea over the historical school.
So what happening, like whatever school I'm studying, like it was first the natural schools you were teaching. So even also in the physical start, in the beginning, all cool with the school, like yeah, this is the perfect school. But at the end, when someone come and criticize it, we got to know, oh no, this is the real part. This is wrong. So sir, how can we like after studying all the schools, you got confused? Like till now, we were studying historical school, and I was like, yeah, it is on every point it is good. But when someone criticized it, I got, oh yeah, this is the criticism. So sir, like how to tell my own self like this is the perfect and this is not. Like I hope you got my question.
Yes, I got it. See, I'm muting you first. The thing comes, it is always like, I give you an example. Whenever there is a fight between two of your friends, one of your friend will come and he will tell his part of his story, and you will believe just like the other person have done very wrong with him. And as soon as the other person comes to you and he tells his own version, you are like, no, he have also done something wrong. So when we are looking over certain ideas, if we are if we are reading any school, we finds out at that moment that yes, whatever they are saying, it is perfect, until and unless we start thinking rationally and the broader perspective. If we are looking at the narrow perspective with their perspective only, so we will find out that yes, whatever they are saying is good. And as soon as we implies the rationalism ideas with that, that gives us, that broadens, now your mind is broadened, now your thinking pattern is now wider, that yes, they have emphasizing over consciousness, it is good. But while listening to that, we didn't thought about how it will be, how it can be bad, or how where it should have to be stopped. So whenever you are studying any, see, you cannot say that every school is perfect, or this is the perfect definition of law. By the time the perfect definition of jurisprudence and the perfect definition of law, it is still being searched. But yes, we can say that every time the new definition comes, the new ideology, new jurist gives his theory, so it is just the, you can say, updation of the same. We are all using the Android phones. When we were using the Android 2.1, it was like one of the best thing you could have. And there was a phone which came with a 4-inch of screen color display. It was like that is the best thing and nothing can be better than that. Later on, it came a phone which had 3.124, and then there came a phone after that which have a front camera. It was a VGA one, but we were like that it is the best thing in the world that it have a front camera. And nowadays we have two cameras in the front, 4 to 5 cameras at the back, and it is like looking at. So if we say that how was I was liking this phone very much, yeah. So when the first phone of Nokia came, it have the color screen. We were like, color screen, we can see the name of the person which is coming. So if we are stuck at a time frame, if we are looking with the narrower perspective of a particular time, so we find that particular thing is like the best thing. But if we broadens our perspective, so then we are able to understand that yes, every time we can improve something. That is why from 2.1 Android we are having the Android 11 now, and they have not stopped. It is also improving, and like the new Windows is coming. Is there any problem with Windows 10? Even people like me, they are not even habitual of using Windows 10 till now, and they are now updating it very much difficulties. I have updated to Windows 10, and now they are bringing Windows 11. We are not finding any problem, but yes, they are evolving. They are finding that yes, Windows 10 is not perfect, we will improve it, we will evolve it. Okay, so in the same manner, the definitions that we are going through, all these definitions, all these ideologies, they are the updation of the previous one. First came the natural one. People said that yes, natural is good, but there came one person who said no, natural is not good. How natural can be good? We are the humans, we can be governed by us only. So we will be governed by us only, and whatever our superior power will say, that will be the law. Later on, they tried this thing and they understood no, it cannot be good. They tried thinking differently, that we cannot, yes, law can be man-made, but one person cannot decide what will be law for us. We all will decide. And when we all started deciding, we found it out that we are deciding some of the wrong things also. Then came the sociological school. When the sociological school came, there was certain things were, certain powers were given to the jurist. Then the American realism was there. So when you are studying a theory, there are two ways of understanding a theory. First, you understand the theory as you have written it. Okay, this is my theory. If you are writing the Savigny theory, read it like this, that the approach yours is that you are finding it perfect. It is a good thing. You can only write the good answer only in this condition. Whenever you are studying a theory, study it like that it is your theory. Even it is the Marx one, even it is the Austin's one. Consider yourself as Karl Marx, and then understand the theory, that I am Karl Marx, I of jurisprudence. So look at the theory with the eye of that person only. Okay, so if you are studying the Marxist theory, don't apply your brain into that, or else you will be finding out the criticism that how you can say that. Consider yourself Karl Marx and then study that. And as soon as you are studied that, now consider Karl Marx is your enemy, and you have to find something against it. Then you will broaden out your perspective. It used to happen when we were kid. So there were some teachers we don't like. So what we used to do, we try to ask questions. And actually, obviously he's a teacher, he can answer. So what we try to do, we used to study hard. We used to go to different books and try to find many different questions, so that we can find out some criticism. So when you are studying the theory, study it as you are the same person who is writing that theory. And when you are trying to criticize it that as your enemy have written that theory, and you have to rationally criticize, not just like that he's a bad person, how we can write. Rationally criticize that your theory is lacking this particular thing. Then you will be doing the critical analysis. So if you are following this approach, then you will never be confused, because the person who is giving a theory, for him, his theory is the best. If KRK gives the review, he considers he is the best reviewer, but we don't find him the best one. We have the other opinion as well. So if someone is giving a theory, he's the best for the theory. But when the other persons are reading it, so then they will also find the different thing. So go with this approach. First read the theory as you have written it, then try to understand what criticism can be. First go with the narrow perspective, then widen the approach for that. Okay.